Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of Peace, Love, and Baseball's STL Cards 2024 season scrapbook episode. Hey, we're pre-gaming this Sunday. We usually do this on Sunday nights, but we're going to try it out. We're going to do a little pre-game because your girl has to fly to the East Coast and buy a house. So I'm going to be doing that later. So we're doing this now. But we're going to recap the games this week, which what a difference a week makes. We were crying together just a week ago, mourning the loss of the 2024 season. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little bit better, a little bit more festive, which is why I want to kick off the show with asking you to hop in the chat if you feel so inclined and tell me what is your favorite Sunday brunch cocktail of choice. Maybe what you're enjoying this morning, maybe what you'd have if you're going out for a nice brunch celebration. We had this conversation at our opening day episode every year now. It's an annual thing when we go to Busch Stadium, me, Pitts, and Wesley McKinney of Validity. And we have determined that margaritas are a brunch beverage of choice. Very important. I don't know. I've been to bottomless margarita brunch. So there you have it. I guess that's another question you can answer if you want to. Is a margarita a brunch beverage? And of course, don't feel limited to choose one of the options that I've given you here: Bloody Mary, mimosa, the like. I am enjoying some espresso and oat milk myself this morning. So whatever you're digging, I want to hear about it. Drop it in the chat. And then I'd also like to hear which current player on the Cardinals you would most want to have brunch with. So I'll pop that up on the screen momentarily, but feel free to share with me your thoughts. If you are on the YouTube, you can jump in the chat. If you're a subscriber, if you're not, you got to subscribe. And then I think you can jump in the chat. So try that out. Or you can comment to me on Twitter and I will find it there. Let's get into it, shall we? We're going to go through game by game, kind of recap, and then we'll get to the scrapbook moment of the week. We will get Bird's Bird of the week and your one official vibe check for the St. Louis Cardinals for the full seventh week of the Major League Baseball season. So it is Monday, May 13th. My dogs are excited because the Cardinals are in LA and we are kicking the week off strong. Monday, May 13th versus the Angels at Angels Stadium in Anaheim, and Matthew Liberatore gets the start. He goes 3 1/3, giving up 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout, including a 2-run Kevin Pillar home run in the 3rd inning. Kevin Pillar, by the way, was DFA'd by the White Sox just a couple of weeks ago, so he was not even on the Angels at the beginning of the season, but here he is crushing the Cardinals. Not gonna lie, this one looked bleak as the Cardinals offense looked hopeless, truly, against Angels starter Jose Soriano. But bring on that Angels bullpen, baby. In the 7th, Nolan Arenado broke out a solo home run to kick off a huge inning. The Cardinals managed to load the bases with nobody out, and stop me if you've heard this before. You haven't, because they scored runs. Yes, Mason Wynn singles to drive in Gorman, then Matty Carp singles to score Herrera and Donovan, and suddenly the game is tied. Goldie is hit by a pitch with the bases still loaded, and we know how the 2024 Cardinals love an unearned run rally. So they take the lead on a hit by pitch. Why stop there? Gorman draws a walk in his second at-bat of the inning to score Carp, and it is 6-4. It's Herrera's turn to single and score Newt and Goldie, and we have an 8-run inning, folks. On the other side of the baseball, things got better as well. Kyle Leahy came in for 2 2/3 scoreless, no hits, 3 strikeouts, passed it off to John King for an inning and 2/3 scoreless. Ryan Fernandez would take the 8th, and Kevin Pillar still sticking around. He strikes again to pick up 1 more run for the Angels, but the Cardinals would pick up 2 more runs, courtesy of Brendan Donovan in the 9th. And between Kittredge and Robertson, the bullpen would finish off the game in relief to lock down the first Cardinals win of 2024 without an appearance from Ryan Helsley. Kyle Leahy got his first big league win of his career. How cool was that? I'm going to pop this other question up there for you in case you feel more inclined to answer this one. Which current player would you most want to have brunch with? I'm having a tough time picking right now. Last season, I picked Tyler O'Neill, but since he's on the Red Sox side now, I don't know. I might have to go with Brendan Donovan, just off the top of my head. That's just what I'm feeling right now. But you let me know what you think. Moving on to Tuesday, May 14th. Sonny Gray versus Reed Detmers. I was so ready for a pitcher's duel, y'all. But that is not quite what we got. The Cardinals got to Detmers early when Dylan Carlson, on base for his first hit of the season, by the way, since being activated on May 5th, he scored first on a wild pitch. What? More unearned runs? Indeed. Because then Michael Ciani reached on a fielder's choice to Cole Tucker is Vanessa Hudgens' husband, if you didn't know. Vanessa Hudgens of High School Musical fame. But back to Cole Tucker, he made a throwing error, allowing Gorman to score, and it is quickly 2-0 Cardinals. Pedro Pajes gives us a bases clearing double with the sacks jammed in the third for his first big league hit, and it is 5-0 Cardinals. Not a bad first big league hit. I mean, what could go wrong? Sonny Gray worked through some traffic on the bases in the third. He allowed the Angels' first run there in the third, and then again in the fourth when Logan O'Hoppe took him deep for a 3-run home run, and suddenly it's 5-4. A little too close for comfort, especially for these Cardinals. More trouble for Sonny in the fifth when the Angels tied the game on a sac fly. A Burley bomb scoring Arenado in the seventh was just in time to get the Cardinals back in front. It is 7-5. Gray would allow one more run to the Angels in the seventh to keep it tight, but Fernandez, Romero, and Helsley lock it up for a 7-6 Cardinals win. Going through the recaps of the game, I like this personally. I like to just kind of relive them because every day is a new game and there's 162 of them. And I've already forgotten what happened on Tuesday and Wednesday, especially right now when the momentum shift of the Cardinals is rapidly changing, right? Going into Wednesday, May 15th versus the Angels. We are on a high going into the middle of the week. Could the Cardinals get their first sweep of the season? Spoiler alert, no. Not the strongest outing from our innings eater, Lance Lynn. Just didn't seem that hungry on Wednesday. I don't know. He gave up a home run right out of the gate in the first inning to Nolan Shanuel. I need to learn to say Nolan's last name there. I only know, Gorman and Nato. Anyway, he goes 5 innings on 106 pitches, 8 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. 106 pitches in 5 innings. Not the standard Lance Lynn that we, want to see. But he got it done. He hung in there. Nick Robertson came on in relief in the 6th and got knocked around for a bit for his inning and a third. He gave up 6 hits, 3 runs, and struck out 3. The Cardinals offense was quiet until a Goldie home run in the 6th to get them on the board. At this point, it's only 6-1 though. But we love a Goldie home run. We'll take it in any fashion these days. I mentioned last week I was at the Brewers game on Mother's Day last Sunday and got to be there for that Goldie kind of breakout of the season, I think. So I'm not saying it was me, but I was there for it. Moving on in this Wednesday game, Zach Neto and Tyler Ward answered back in the bottom of the 6th and 7th, respectively, with home runs of their own off of Robertson to widen the gap here. B. Donnie picked up an RBI single, driving in Burley in the 8th to make it 7-2. Our buddy, last week's Bird's Bird of the Week, Chris Roycroft, shows up for a strong scoreless inning and a third to finish it off, but the Cardinals ultimately fall 7-2 to drop the sweep in California. This series also brought us a number of things, like a happy Nolan Arenado because he was home. He is from the Los Angeles area. I know everybody thinks that means that he wants to be a Dodger. I don't think that. I just think that he likes being near home and he grew up there. It's not like he moved there in adulthood and actively chose to be there. Of course, he is still actively choosing to be there, but it seemed like he was genuinely happy to be home. He posted on his Instagram about how he was close to home. And we also saw some lovely pics of Nolan Arenado with Newt and Newt's mom. Nato and Newt's mom are friends. So wholesome. Thursday was an off day as we traveled home. And as we get into the Red Sox series here, the other thing I want to ask you is, what was your favorite game of this week? Because those first 2 games in LA were pretty fun, or against LA in Anaheim were pretty fun. But moving into this Red Sox series, we're having a lot of fun so far, right? So Friday, May 17th at home versus Boston, the newly revived offense arrives back home at Busch Stadium. Kyle Gibson versus Brian Bayo for the Red Sox. Brian Bayo's the real deal too. So I wasn't so sure how this one was going to go. It was also Brian Bayo's 25th birthday. So not that I wanted to see him get like super knocked around at his birthday. Personally, in this situation, I am not mad about it. Gibson goes his consistent, use that word again, consistent 6 innings this time, giving up 8 hits, 5 runs, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. I mentioned that word consistent because I saw a number of tweets frustrated with how the broadcast kept referring to Gibson as consistent. I feel you. And I felt that same frustration actually with how they kept pointing out how Lance Lynn was able to go 5 innings, even though he was really struggling, right? Like, so I feel you there. But here's the thing. We have to accept that this is what our pitching staff is. As a fan base, we have to accept that because the front office, like they not only accepted it, they went out and found it and actively looked for it and locked it down. Like, no, this is our game plan. And we've talked about this before, specifically with Gibson. He is nothing if not consistent. Every year of his career, he is going to give you starts of 5+ innings. He's going to start 25 to 32 times a year. Some starts are going to be prettier than others, but ultimately that ERA is going to sit over 4. That is Kyle Gibson. So don't be frustrated on those days when he gives up 5 earned runs. The Cardinals front office is not frustrated because that is exactly what they signed up for, and they knew it. They also thought that they had the offense who would score close to an average of, I don't know, like runs per game over 5 than just over 3. So that's where I think it's we can allow ourselves to be more frustration with the stunted offense this season and last season because it was just as much of a problem last season as the pitching was. And listen, I don't know what the answer is for it. If you have seen some changes or like there's things that you have been able to analyze of like what page we've turned here in this past week, you let me know. Timing is everything though. That's really what I'm feeling. And on paper, it doesn't make a ton of sense that this offense hasn't been producing. So I'm just glad they're doing it. Anyway, we have to kind of get over that frustration with our starting rotation. I understand that. I think what I tweeted out was that narrative is a lot less like endearing, or I have so much appreciation for them, but I have a harder time appreciating it when we have 3.5 essentially of these same like veteran gonna go out there and eat those innings, but sometimes they're gonna keep you in it and sometimes they're not. The thing is, we got to have the bats. So let's see. Lucky for us, that version of the Cardinals offense showed up on Friday. Maybe like really for the first time all season. A Lars Newt bomb got the Cardinals off to a 2-0 lead in the first. Nolan Gorman goes deep to left center in the second. Alec Burleson lets one fly for a solo blast in the fourth. Paul Goldschmidt snags a single to drive in Donovan in the fifth. Mason Wynn, baby. He hits his first home run of the season, a 2-run shot in the sixth, and it is 7-3 Cardinals. This is the kind of game this team is built to win. And while the Red Sox kept it close enough for concern, the Birds did not stop there. Alec Burleson singled to drive in Newt, followed by a Herrera to drive in Goldie in the seventh, and it is 9-5 Cardinals. Natto's not done. He scores Lars Nootbaar on a line drive to center in the eighth. Romero and Kittredge had scoreless outings in relief, and John King, what a good spot to use John King. Here he is. John King wrapped up the ninth. He allowed 2 hits and a run. Totally fine, though, because we got a 10-6 Cardinals win. Not only did we see 4 Cardinal home runs in this game, we saw the Cardinals score in 6 of the 8 innings that they were at bat. Pretty awesome. Friday also brought us, just going to touch on this real quick, City Connect spoilers. If you haven't seen them yet, I did tweet them out asking what you think. So you can find me on Twitter at KBirdTweets. It's here in the corner if you're watching on YouTube or on Twitter. If you're watching on Twitter, you're probably there, right? But yeah, City Connect spoilers. I guess they came out in MLB, like sent out an email blast about the Guardians City Connects, which are out and being sold. And the Cardinals pictures were in that email blast. So someone screenshotted them, put them up on Reddit, and the rest is history. I do think these are the legit City Connects. I've seen some things going around, like maybe they're not real. No, like, listen, they're a little too predictable to not be real. And anyway, we're going to wait until the official drop to talk more about this in depth. So we'll hit it up next week. Feel free to drop in the comments your thoughts if you'd like to share with me here, and we'll circle back on it. But let me just say, it does not look like a Clydesdale costume. So you know how I feel about it. Let me know what you think. Saturday, May 17th, we're at home versus Boston again. A sweet Saturday night game. We love it. Miles Michaelis takes the mound versus breakout pitcher for the Red Sox, Cutter Crawford. I was like asking my husband, I was like, do you think we can name our kid Cutter? But like Cutter Crawford, the fact that he has like the double C is like makes it cooler. Anyway, I wonder if Cutter's his real name. Kind of like how Mookie Betts is not Mookie's real name. I'm going to look that up. If you want to look it up for me and let me know, that works too. Michaelis was pulled after 5 innings last night. He allowed 2 hits and 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. Nolan Gorman hit his team leading 6th home run of the year in the 2nd inning. I have got my Gormania shirt on in celebration, brought to you by the fine folks at Cardinals Off Day Podcast. If you are not following them, get on it. I'm not sure if they're still selling these shirts, but they have gone through waves. All the profits go to Cardinals Care. It's super cool. And like, obviously you need this. I have multiple of them. Which color am I going to wear? My Gormania shirt is what I wake up thinking about every morning. And that's the hardest decision I have to make. It's great. So Nolan Gorman hits that bomb. Rafael Devers, he answered in the top of the 4th for the Red Sox. He did tie the game at 1, but at 79 pitches for Miles, Ollie goes to John King. I did not hate pulling Miles Michaelis at this point because, again, we've seen enough starts now to know when things start to get sticky. And obviously, this is a close game. These games are only holding more and more weight in terms of like little do or die vibes, which we're going to get into for the Cardinals right now. Like, is there any hope? Are you gonna go? Are we gonna just like melt into obscurity and plan to sell at the deadline? So I appreciated seeing this kind of proactive approach of taking Michaelis out. And what I didn't love was John King. Like I said, other night when you're up 5 runs in the 9th, great spot for John King. I like the Talking About Birds podcast was posting exactly this about like, this is the spot to use John King. And this spot last night, not my favorite spot for John King, but little sus. Luckily, it worked out, and King gave us a scoreless inning. The offense were at a standstill until the 7th inning when Nootbaar put a ball in play with the bases loaded to ground out, and he scored Mason Wynn. It is 2-1 Cardinals. The Red Sox, they picked up a run to tie it in the 8th off of Kittredge, but here comes Herrera and the Cardinals in the 8th. Yvonne's mom is in town, and he singled to drive in Nato. Gorman gets his 2nd hit and 2nd RBI of the day to drive in Burley, and we're not done yet. That's what I like to hear about this Cardinals offense. Mason Wynn has a sac fly to bring Herrera around to score. B. Donnie walks, and Newt singles in Norm and Donnie for cheap drinks and some serious insurance. Helsley gets the night off because now we got a comfy lead. So Kyle Leahy came on in to finish it up for a 7-2 Cardinals win. This game also featured multiple web gems from both Arenado and Wynn. And that is such a key part of what makes this team elite and is going to keep this pitching staff specifically in games where other teams might not be able to make it work, if you know what I'm saying. The defense is on this season, and we saw highlights of that all week, and that can make us feel even more confident about the potential that the Cardinals still have to maybe hang around here and be in the contention conversation. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but again, we're kind of at that point where it's going to happen or it's not. We did have this note from Jeff Jones, who is the Cardinals beat writer for the Belleville News Democrat. He's a great Twitter follow. I don't know if I shared this, but I share stuff from Jeff all the time. So if you're not following him, would recommend. But he posted last night that Ivan Herrera's mom, Donna, has been in town from Panama for a bit over a week now. And Ivan told Jeff, I've been raking since she's been here. He also shared that he has begged her not to clean up his place, but she insisted, and she's been making all kinds of Panamanian food and all the goods. So yeah, Ivan's just feeling at home, feeling extra comfy, well taken care of. And it's cool to see him like being the dude since he's getting some more playing time. I also thought it was really sweet in his post game last night when he was saying, like, they were asking him, how do you kind of accredit the role that you're on here? And he was like, well, I'm getting more regular at bats. Like, that's definitely part of it. And we know that's why I was always like, hold up, Kiz haters, because having those consistent at bats, having the opportunity is such a big part of it. And for a player like Herrera, who absolutely has the potential to be a starting major league catcher, it's just great to see him getting that opportunity and his development not being stunted. But he was like, of course, like what happened to Wilson sucks. Like, can't wait to have Wilson back. And it seems like him and Wilson like have a really fun and good relationship. But love everything about Ivan Herrera. He's been super fun to watch all season long, honestly. Do you have a favorite moment of this week? We've got about 13 minutes until the final game of the week begins. I guess this is really technically a new week, but we usually cover through the Sunday game on these episodes, just doing it a little early today. So yeah, was there a favorite moment? Was it a specific one of those home runs? Was it a specific defensive play where you were like, yes, this team is just locked in? What did it for you? Share it with me. We're going to move into now the scrapbook moment of the week, which is a moment from the week that I'm going to highlight, but there's always lots of them. Actually, before we do that, let's preview today's game really quick because we do have another Matthew Liberatore start. And that's really all I wanted to share about today is that Liberatore has been moved officially or, for the time being into the rotation, which why there was all this back and forth on that, I don't really know because like what was the other option? I was really pushing for them to go out and sign 44-year-old Rich Hill. Like if we're going to do it, double down on these veteran innings eaters, like just go out and do it. And that would be like the most Cardinals thing to do in the world. So that's why I've been more or less joking about it. I don't know. But no, I thought if they're going to sign somebody, like that's absolutely who it would be, right? That's just what they would do. But no, Matthew Liberatore is going to get the start. And what I hope that means for him is that at least for some like solid period of time that he actually has the opportunity to be used truly as a starter and not as a swingman and be able to have that consistency again, kind of the same thing that we were just talking about with Herrera, because I think I talked about this last week or maybe the week before, but his development has been all over the place from the Cardinals. And obviously a lot of that is out of their control to a certain extent, but my point is it has certainly not benefited him. And I think we're seeing circumstantial results from him based a lot on his utilization. So he's going to get to the start today. He has previously worked very well with Herrera in AAA. So I am a little sad that Herrera is not starting with him today. And that must not be something that the team actually holds validity in because Pedro Pajes is going to start with Liberatore today. And not that I don't love Pajes, because I absolutely do. And I do believe he is regarded to be a little better defensively than Herrera. So we'll see. But yeah, Mason Wynn is going to get the day off as well. I saw Brandon Crawford is in that lineup. Otherwise, the lineup, Carp leading off as well. But otherwise, the lineup looks like more of the same than it has. Friday and Saturday, we used the same lineup 2 days in a row. I have been advocating for this. Like, again, the consistency. It's just what I want to see. It's just what I think works. And it's like the one freaking thing the Cardinals offense hasn't tried yet. So maybe there's something to it. So I was glad to see today that even though there are obviously some tweaks, it is fundamentally a very similar lineup from what we've seen starting to work here. I don't know. Okay, let's hit that scrapbook moment of the week because I put a poll out to you on Twitter every week with some highlights, some moments. And this week there were lots of them because there was lots of exciting offense. There was that 8-run inning in Anaheim. There were all kinds of offensive breakouts. There were moments with the bases loaded and no outs where we thought for sure all hope was lost. And it wasn't. It was there. But this week's scrapbook moment of the week, brought to you by you, is 4-bomb Friday. Those 4 home runs on Friday versus the Boston Red Sox. We had a Nootbaar home run. We had a Nolan Gorman Gormania straight to center home run. We had Alec Burleson, a Burley bomb. And we had Mason Wynn muscling it over the wall there, over 400 feet for his first home run of the season. This has got to be the scrapbook moment of the week because the Cardinals have 37 home runs this season. That is tied with the Detroit Tigers for the 5th least in baseball. Let me tell you, the Miami Marlins have more home runs than the St. Louis Cardinals. So I was very happy to see that even though 4 of these 37 home runs came in one game, it really feels like I actually didn't see how many have come this week, but probably close to 10, honestly, of them have happened this week. And that's the kind of thing that, I mean, quite honestly, we could be seeing once a week from this Cardinals offense, and it wouldn't be shocking. Like that's what we need. And I'm not saying we need only the long ball because we saw a lot of just keeping the line moving this week too. You need it all, but these guys need to be hitting the ball over the wall, as Tyler O'Neill would say. Hit it over the wall. And we haven't seen a bro bomb yet. Do you think we're going to get a Tyler O'Neill home run today? And by going to get, I mean, do you think we're going to suffer a Tyler O'Neill home run today? I don't know. Let me know what you think. We've got Libertor out there, so we'll see. Miles Michaelis has actually given up the most home runs of the Cardinals starters so far. I don't think that's hard to believe if you have been watching the games, but we know Lance Lynn gave up the most in baseball last year. Seems like he's got maybe the long ball a little more under control, but again, it's getting a little early to make those kinds of observations, and we'll dig into that more as we get to the halfway point of the season. Let's go to Bird's Bird of the week. So Bird's Bird of the week is a player that we pick to feature each week. Might be somebody super obvious. I mean, this week there were a lot of heroes, right? There wasn't one specific pitching outing that like super stuck out. There were a lot of home runs, like we just talked about. Ivan Herrera is making his time count. Matt Carpenter is like, the Cardinals are just winning more when he's leading off. He's back. Thank God for that veteran leadership. It's here, right where we need it. But this week's Bird's Bird of the Week, it's got to be Alec Burleson. I almost picked Burley last week, but I'm glad I waited because he was just getting started. So far this week, since May 12th, Burley is 9 for 18. He has 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 5 runs scored, and just 1 strikeout. That's something that you've always had to love about Alec Burleson is his low strikeout percentage. His batting average as of the end of the game last night is up to 293. He has an on-base percentage of 316 and a slug of 473, good for an OPS of 789, all well above the current league average. His expected stats and his hard hit percentage also look good if you want to dig into that on his Baseball Savant page. He does it all. He even laid down a bunt single in Saturday's game. We love a man who can hit a bunt and a bomb. His 5 home runs on the year are second on the team, only to Wilson, who has 6, and Gorman, who also has 6. He has 10 less at-bats, though, than Wilson, and 35. I wrote 235 less than Nolan Gorman, but I'm guessing it's 35. He has 10 less at bats than Wilson, 35 less at bats, give or take, than Nolan Gorman, and yet he only has 1 less home run. Let's dig into that a little bit more here because he is also third most with RBIs on the team behind only Nolan Arenado and Brendan Donovan. Nato has 68 more at bats Donovan has 72 more at-bats than Burley, and he has just a few less RBIs than both of them. He has the fewest strikeouts among players on the team with 100 at-bats or more, and he is currently tied with Herrera for best batting average, second to Wilson in slugging percentage and OPS on the team. All right, y'all, we got 4 minutes until game time, so it is time to wrap this up with your official vibe check for the 7th full week of the Major League Baseball season for the St. Louis Cardinals. Last week's vibe check was sink or swim. This week, we're kind of sticking with that vibe, but the stakes are a little bit higher because like it's go time. We're past the 25% way through point of the season, and this week's vibes are do or die. Sink or swim, taking it to the next level, do or die. And I say that in like the most positive of ways because I heard Nolan Arenado talking on the postgame last night of where he was saying something along the lines of like, we have to kind of take the pressure off of ourselves and just do what we know, like we're capable of doing individually and as a team. And that's the overall vibe that I think we've seen this offense playing with, like a little more loose and free, because I think they got into that kind of sink or swim vibe last week. And we're like, okay, if we keep paddling like crazy and we're fighting against the tide, like we're going to sink. We got to swim free and easy. We got to sometimes just got to float through those at bats when we're, not sure how to make it work, or, we're not in an ideal situation, not feeling the advantage, but that's how you do and not die. So I do feel like the stakes are high and the energy is high, but maybe that's why the energy is high, is because the stakes are high. And that's just kind of what this Cardinals offense needed to ultimately take it to the level that we have been fully aware that they are capable of playing at. And I know I don't want to get ahead of myself here because we've only seen a handful of games where we've really seen this offense start to click. And hopefully we can look back from a week ago and say that was like the turning point of the season. But the main reason that I think we have to feel hopeful, and that is a big part of this vibe check too, like it's a hopeful do or die situation. This feeling, this vibe, it's called hope, Cardinals fans. I know we always have it because we're Cardinals fans and the Cardinals are always relatively competitive, but the other reason is that, again, on paper, there was no reason to believe this offense wasn't capable of this, right? The fact that they were all ice cold, and I mean, injuries, yeah, but it was mostly just that like all of the guys were out in space at the same time. I don't know if it was that they just needed Goldie to lock in and that everybody was like, oh my God, thank you for restoring peace to my life. Goldie is hitting. Now we can all hit and take more competitive at bats. I'm not sure. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. Gonna wrap this up because we've got Cardinals baseball in 60 seconds. If you are not following me on Twitter, I'm at KBirdTweets. As I mentioned here in the corner, you can find the KBirdTweets YouTube channel where you will get your Tuesday weekly episodes of Peace, Love, and Baseball, not just for Cardinals fans, but if you are a Cardinals fan, we'll be covering the Cardinals here on Sundays weekly as well. If you like more of a podcast, this is available in your podcast feed weekly on Mondays as we recap the previous week in Cardinals baseball. And we'll always have that scrapbook moment of the week. We'll always have Bird's Bird of the week and looking to incorporate some more fun stuff. So let me know what you're looking for, what kind of interaction you would like to have. And I will see you next week on the STL Cards 2024 season scrapbook edition of Peace, Love, and Baseball. Happy Sunday.